Namaskar, India. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our viewers who've joined us from across the globe. Thank you so much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sangeeta Singh, your moderator for our Web Talk series. And yes, on behalf of URS International Media House and Asia One Magazine, gives me immense pleasure to say a big thank you to all of you and also welcome you on this amazing knowledge series, ladies and gentlemen. Now, of course, we are here, having a great discussion just about to bring on all our wonderful panelists on our series 19. Now, when I say series 19, I feel so super excited because yes, it is, week after week, we've tried to bring you some amazing and pertinent topics. We've tried to empower you, educate you, and enrich you, bringing across some amazing and esteemed leaders, some great personalities, and yes, week after week, you have joined us too. So thank you once again. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. We have an amazing and a very, very relevant topic today. Like I always say, it is all about being relevant to realities, and which is how a wisely chosen topic that we bring you today. Yes, today we are here to discuss perceiving every adversity into an amazing opportunity for excelling life. Rather, I must say, the mind game which is called life. And I'm going to talk a little more on that, but before that, we're absolutely proud to start this amazing webinar, ladies and gentlemen, with an amazing talk, with an amazing speech that comes in from our Honorable Union Minister, Shri Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi. So let's have the AV, please.
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के लिए विकास का मसौदा वोट का सौदा न कभी था न कभी रहेगा। 2014 में जब जनता ने जनादेश दिया तो उस वक्त प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का संकल्प था सबका साथ सबका विकास, और सबका साथ सबके विकास के संकल्प के साथ डेवलपमेंट विदाउट डिस्क्रिमिनेशन, एम्पावरमेंट विदाउट अपीजमेंट, इसके इस दिशा में हमने काम किया। और समाज के सभी वर्ग, जो भी गरीब हैं, कमज़ोर तबके हैं, पिछड़े तबके हैं, अल्पसंख्यक हैं, उन तक विकास की रोशनी पहुँचे, उनकी आंखों में खुशी और उनकी ज़िंदगी में खुशहाली आए, इस काम के लिए बिना रुके हुए, बिना थके हुए प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में हमारी सरकार ने काम किया। आई कांग्रेचुलेट एशिया वन मैगजीन एंड राजेश शुक्ल जी फॉर दिस ग्रेट इनिशिएटिव।
So yes, so that was the message from our Honorable Union Minister. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, while each one of you have simply supported and of course enjoyed our Web Talk series, like always, yes, I feel proud to share with you that in India, we are present on CNBC TV 18 with our televised, wonderful, amazing, the amazing greatest brand and leaders series that we have for you, which is of course again a weekly one. So as you can see, it'll be right here on my screen, the promo for that.
Greatness is defined by the leaders who wield it. A brand is a culmination of groundbreaking ideas and impeccable execution. URS Asia One presents Greatest Brands and Leaders 2019-20. At these times,
So in India, on CNBC TV 18 with our televised series, Greatest Brands and Leaders, and also we feel proud to share with you that very soon you'll also be seeing us in Bangladesh with News 24, and of course entire North Africa and the Middle East. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be collaborating and associating with ZTV. So we are looking forward for all your associations. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for me to talk a little more on this great topic that we have chosen for all of you today. Yes. To begin with, I was just kind of doing a couple of posts on Insta, and then I saw a friend of mine posting this amazing thing, and I thought that was the right way to begin this amazing webinar today. Because what he says is that, yes, life is undoubtedly a mind game, where the way in which we perceive actually makes all the difference for all of us. Yes, it is for us to decide whether the door of opportunities, are half closed or half open. And now, joining us is an amazing panel, ladies and gentlemen, with us, an esteemed guests who are here, who will simply give us their insights on, what actually is the power of perception. So it's an honor for me to introduce you. Well, Madhuji will be joining us, an amazing and fine actress from the Indian film industry, who's always, kind of entertained us. And yes, her interactions, her engagements on Instagram is simply to look forward for. Well, she'll be joining us very soon. And in the meanwhile, we are also honored and graced with the presence of some other amazing personalities. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have here with us Mr. Sahil Ved. Yes, the Dil Bechara fame. We've loved him. So thank you, Sahil, for joining us. It is amazing to have you here with us. And could I just have your mic on, say a quick hello to everybody out there?
Hi. I hope everybody can hear me. Thank you so much for welcoming me with such warmth. Thank you for having me with such amazing people. And yeah, I'm here to talk.
Thank you, Sahil. Looking forward to hear all from you. And Madhuji's also joined us here, and the pretty lady's right there. Let her just kind of get adjusted and put herself right into the frame. Till then, let me bring on, ladies and gentlemen, today we are absolutely super excited to introduce you to our amazing panel here. We've got enterprising entrepreneurs, two beautiful and empowering ladies. Yes, Ms. Radhika Mukherjee, co-founder and CEO at Titanic. Hi, Radhika. How are you doing?
Very well, Sangeeta. Thank you.
It's lovely to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us on the Web Talk series.
Thank you.
We look forward. With that, we also have Ms. Komal Kadaba. She's the co-founder, Nutrizy. Hi, Komal. How are you doing?
Hi, Sangeeta. I'm good. Thank you. Hello, everyone.
And Komal, it's amazing that you've joined us again on the Web Talk series. Thank you. So we're really honored and yes, absolutely gratified.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And let me see a quick hello to Madhuji. Madhuji, are you there with us? Yes, I can see you, but you're too far from the camera frame. So if you could just, hold your, okay, yeah. How are you doing?
Fantastic, Sangeeta. I'm so happy that I feel so familiar. It doesn't feel that I'm, knowing you for the first time. I feel like, wow, yet again we meet, and I feel extremely happy and to come back to you, Sangeeta. Thank you so much for inviting me and having me over.
Thank you, Madhu. See, ladies and gentlemen, I told you, right? She's absolutely infectious. She's a live buyer, and you can see the kind of energy that she exhibited. So let's get started with our Q&A round. Big, warm, and hearty welcome to all our, speakers, our personalities who've joined us here, and they are here to enrich this amazing series with their thoughts and, of course, their experiences. So with that, Madhuji, let me bring on the first question to you, and let me get started with you, because I always keep saying that, you are somebody who continues to spread so much of positivity, so much of, optimism, and all of us are going through a lot of adversities. And today we talk about an opportunity to actually excel in this mind game life. So, for you, is life really a mind game, and how do you really, do all this in terms of turning every adversity into an opportunity?
It's a fantastic question, because out of this question comes everything else, whether you're talking about business, whether you're talking about making money or education, whichever field you are talking about. I think the first thing starts with your mind, and your inner world reflects in whatever else that you start out to do. Keeping that in mind, I think this is where we have to start, because the pandemic has really locked us in. And I don't like to use these words, but this is just for reference sake, that what's happening in the last 5 months has taught us and has taken us through waves of emotions and periods of things. So what I believe is to strengthen your mind, strengthen your heart, strengthen your body physically, so that when you are consolidated and solid in your existence, you can then go and take over, even starting with your relationships with your dear ones, children, family, husband, spouse, in-laws, and then outwardly in your society with your neighbors and work-related. Taking care of relationships, and then business, and then education, and so on and so forth. Making yourself useful in society, but first starting with yourself. Talking about mindset, I think we have 4 sets to pay attention to. Mindset, starting the way, because our attitude, positivity. Then we have a heart set. It's about emotions, empathy, gratitude, and loving and supporting of one another. Third, I would say, and it not necessarily in that order, but also the third set, I would say, is the health set. Mindset, heart set, health set. Keeping your health. If you are not healthy, I think our body, in a very strange sort of way, we keep talking about spirituality and all of that, but our body is the most spiritual thing, because body is the gross existence of our gross physical presence of our existence. So the minute you have even the minutest of headache or pain, you cannot think about making money or economy or how to make opportunities. You can't think of anything. The body takes away even a little pain, either your stomach or your head. It doesn't even have to be a great illness, but a little thing can knock you off your day. So pay attention to the health set. When you take care of your health, then you are able to spread love. When you create a social circumstance, social situation, healthy situation, then your mindset will be in the right place, and then you can take on the world. But the last but not the least, maybe it should lead the way, is what I would refer to as soul set. Everything starts from surrendering, from prayers, from faith, from that energy, in whichever language you may want to call it. You call him God or the energy or the universe, because I'm not using this platform to spread religion and all of that. But I definitely know that there is everything in this life. If there is one thing that I know, is that I don't know anything. So starting your life coming from that point that I don't know anything allows you to be very humble and very grateful for everything that comes in. And then you work on all these three, you align yourself, and then find your opportunities. Because only when you're healthy in these four aspects, your health, your relationships, your heart, your mind, when all this is healthy, from that space, you will be able to dig out opportunities through any adversities. Otherwise, you will get submerged in pain. You will wallow in pain, you will dissolve in pain, and even if you live your long life, you may just disintegrate. To rise above these, I'm not even talking about small painful situations. We are talking about big, huge hits, attack, assault, like such as this that we are facing on a global level. So when you integrate yourself in all your aspects, you can then move forward and find opportunities and not get stuck in difficult situations, but you will be able to march on. But to march on, first work on the four aspects. And this is what our great motivational speaker, all-time motivational leader, guru, Robin Sharma talks about in his latest book. He talks very systematically about these four aspects, and it has really impressed me. Hence, I'm sharing this with all of you, my dear friends.
Thank you, Madhu. Thank you so much. Thank you for this amazing beginning. And ladies and gentlemen, as beautifully she's highlighted the four aspects. Yes, your heart, of course, your mind, your relationships, your health. These are where these are the aspects where it all begins. Of course, it's all about that self-love, that self-help, and which will only take you forward from here. Thank you, Madhu. And with that, let me bring in Sahil into the conversation. I was seeing Sahil. Sahil, you've been ever smiling since the time you've turned your video on, and I could see you nodding in agreement with what Madhu was talking to us about. So, well, from you, I need to understand. Well, I have understood you as a personality that, yes, you have this very ever smiling face. So, that I like to know that what's your source of your boundless optimism, boundless energy? Is it something very innate to you, or is it something that you kind of always have to bring it into your consciousness to be positive, to be happy, to have that great optimistic attitude? Sahil, could you just unmute yourself?
Yeah. Is my mic on now?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, you spoke about this life being a mind game, right? And then you also spoke about the power of perception. So, yes, this life is a mind game if you think it's a mind game. We go through a lot of stuff in life. We as children, we've broken a bone here and there. We've all been in the hospital. We've all had a cast. We've all had friends come over, write something on the cast, get well soon and stuff like that. It's only how you take it. If you keep saying, why me all the time, it's not going to get fixed on its own. So I think the optimism that you see, the optimism that you talk about, and something that's very new to me personally as well, it comes through a lot of these uh, ideas of perception that I have. You know, we all go through stuff. We have difficult times. We have a lot we go through. And then eventually we come to this point where we realize, listen, we are not going to get this life again. Might as well start enjoying it right here, right now, because once it's gone, even the time that I'm spending with you, it's important for me, because advice is a form of nostalgia, right? The great Baz Luhrmann says through his song that advice is a form of nostalgia. When we talk about something, we also do a kind of a revision of what our ideas are about life, and it's very important for us to keep smiling and keep going, because that's what matters. It keeps you healthy, it keeps you motivated, and if something doesn't work out, it makes you go forward and try the next thing. Because let's face it, there's always going to be someone out there who's better than you, who's uh, bigger than you, who's and you should probably just walk up to that person and congratulate that person for having invested in himself more than you have, right? Because if you don't do that, you're going to go into this weird black hole of why me, why him, he's more successful, I'm not, he's got a bigger car, he's got a bigger house.
So true.
Believe me, there comes a point in life. I'm not very old, but at the same time, I know that I can say this, I have the right to say this, that you need to focus on you. You need to go out there and do your best, and that's when life stops being a mind game and life starts being a game. Life is actually a game, and games are more fun than mind games. You play this game, and if you play it with a smile on your face, I don't know, you might just get life 2, life 3, life 4. These are opportunities I'm talking about that you keep getting in life, because everybody gets a set of opportunities. We need to make a best use of every opportunity we get, and if we are not prepared for the given opportunity, I don't think opportunities are going to keep showering on us. It's something that we need to value, and how we value an opportunity that comes our way is prepare ourselves, train ourselves, you know. And once we start doing that, we realize that life isn't that difficult to process as we thought when we were children. So yeah, that's how I keep smiling. I don't think I have any reason to not smile today.
True that, Sahil. Wonderful listening to you. So, ladies and gentlemen, viewers, you've heard that right. You are the center of your own universe. Your benchmarks got to be you. Focus yourself, and of course, your life is going to stop being a mind game, but just a game that you can continue to play with a lot of smiles on your face. With that, let me bring in Radhika into the conversation. So, Radhika, one thing I know that Happydemic, this great organization.
Thank you.
From you, I need to understand that how important it is when we talk about mental toughness, for entrepreneurial success.
So, Sangeeta, what we call, mental toughness, or if I have to actually put it in a very simpler word, would be grit, right? So, grit plays a very important role. Like mental toughness plays an extremely important role in achieving your goals, whether it's a business goal or a health goal or an entrepreneurial goal or a life goal. I think that's very important. Having mental toughness is extremely important. If you actually see the word mental toughness, or you see you see the word grit, it basically means consistency, come what may. I think that consistency is extremely important for an entrepreneur in his journey. Because when you look at good leaders or great leaders, apart from leaders, the one thing that you actually see, which is remarkably different, is the way they interact with their peers, and they're consistent in it. The way they have goals, short-term goals and long-term goals that they achieve, and they're consistent in it. They don't let the short-term profits or negative feedback or hectic schedules even come in the way of marching forward, and they're consistent in it. And I think a very important thing that you require mental toughness is being the ability to build another great leader. Because there comes the point of a lot of people are not strong enough mentally to understand that a great nation or a great institution can only be raised by if you are capable of bringing up another person as a good leader. I think that is extremely, extremely important. If I talk about the journey of success, it's kind of very ordinal. There's an ordinal rush, and there's a euphoria, and there's passion, and there's ambition, and it all translates into a vision. There are a lot of times that people are more in love with the idea of having a company than actually having the mental toughness to go and create that company. So an idea, to create from an idea to get it all the way to a product or a company, requires that mental toughness, because an entrepreneurial journey is just not easy, because there are a lot of there are gamut of decisions to be made. There's a competitive environment that you have to be sensitive to. Then there's an understanding of your people, there's understanding of your product, there's understanding of your customers. And being the flag bearer of that organization, I think it's extremely, extremely mentally tough. And you have to be mentally tough to take this forward, because any form of culture, this is also in our everyday life, any form of culture will never go from down to top. Culture always floats from up to down. Be it at home, your kids do what you do, they emulate that. Be it, in your organization, if you have an open door policy, your peers or your colleagues or your teammates know that, you are accessible, and the outwardly open communication that you have with your team members. So while it's very important to listen to your heart and to listen to your instincts, I think you also need that constant effort I have to put in to get my mental toughness on. And actually, mental toughness, why even for an entrepreneur, I think it's very important for everyone in our life. Like if I see my husband, Shan, his mental toughness lies, to the fact that he approaches every work, be it big or small, as, as a pro. He has created an environment where he has to work. He doesn't, put it on, oh, I don't feel creative today. He's never used that word, which is so often used. Oh, I don't feel creative. This is your work. You have to approach it as a pro. An athlete, why some athletes do better than the other is because they're more consistent. They're more consistent with their training, with their schedules. They believe in teamwork. They respect their peers. They respect competitors, so on and so forth. So I think, mental toughness can't be, just put in a box saying, oh, I'm mentally tough. And it's not only about, being, it's having toughness in all aspects. So I think that is what is very, very important.
True that. So what I understand, Radhika, when you say that mental toughness really doesn't come into a box, is this is something we need to keep practicing. We need to continue. I mean, we will be coming through obstacles, through hindrances, through these kind of situations, which is when we need to hold ourselves a little more stronger and be consistent with, telling our own self that, yes, we got to do this.
Sangeeta, I always tell my team, I said, don't aim for perfection, aim for progress. Wow. It can be anything in your life. So you aim for progress, not for perfection, because progress will lead you to perfection.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And let me bring in Komal into the conversation. So Komal, with you, of course, we've, ladies and gentlemen, Komal are yet another enterprising entrepreneur here with us. So Komal, what has been your learning curve in this entire current pandemic? Also would like to understand that you are a absolutely young entrepreneur. So do you kind of agree that adversities do create opportunities, very much which all of us are dealing with right now, COVID itself? So what is your take on that?
Right. Thank you, Sangeeta, for your question. And it's really an honor to be a part of such an eminent panelist today with everyone here. It's a lot to learn, and I can just add a little bit of what I have learned through this pandemic. So basically, as Madhu ma'am said that, how important it is to have internal wellness and health. Me coming from a background having a nutrition company where we cater to healthy snacks to our consumers, we do feel that, this pandemic has been really challenging for all of us, for businesses, especially a startup like mine. We've been 4 years young, but what the saying goes, like every cloud has a silver lining, and at the end of every tunnel there is a ray of light. Similarly, we have learned a lot in the last 5 months. So I would just bring it in short and say that there are 3 points that have really taken I've learned through this. We've learned to be a conscious organization. If you're a young entrepreneur, what you can do is accept change. The idea of accepting change in a business organization is very hard. You need to be proactive. Being a proactive organization, adapting to what is for the consumer right now is the key to success. That will only be a game changer. Through this, we've learned that right from having your sanitization, hygiene, health standards, everything has to be on point, because today the SHE standards for an organization have become more prominent. Especially for organizations coming from a food industry, it is very, very important that we work rigorously towards sanitization, towards perfection, be conscious, so that we provide the best to our consumer. Secondly, and most importantly, is the community. Giving back to your community, accepting that, today unity is strength. Without having everyone standing together, without our employees being with us, without we understanding the consumer, there's not going to be an organization. We won't have a holistic value to it. So for us, the community, like the little things that we did is like, by supporting our frontline, professionals, we did go out to the, how Madhu ma'am said, positivity is important. Keeping it positive in our organization, keeping the employees happy when their morale is so low is something that we learned that, how important it is to keep everyone positive, to get one outcome. Thirdly, and most importantly, is we've understood that, understanding consumers' key points, like what a consumer really wants. Today, our organization has learned that a consumer wants health. They want something very, very customized. Consumers today more than ever have, started focusing on what is important for them, is their health, their wellness. So like, for that, we had to really adapt and create products for our consumers that would be, really customized and something that they would accept. So for us, it was a 360-degree learning. The curve was really steep, if you can say. But yeah, being a young organization, we have learned a lot, and we are still learning, and we're hoping to keep learning more, with these trying times. But yes, that's how we've been, trying to be up there going.
Wow. How beautifully you put it into a perspective that yes, understanding the very dynamically changing customer needs and what is the need of our right now. So for a matter of fact, for a business like yours, which is all into nutrition, and of course, you took care that it has to be customized, because that is what the customer wants at this point in time. So this is where you need to identify those opportunities which lie ahead, even in face of adversity. Beautiful. Thank you, Komal. Thank you. And let me bring in Madhu ma'am back into the conversation. So I'm definitely going to take a message from you for all your fans. But before that, I need to understand from you, what has been your biggest adversity and how did you kind of turn it around into a great opportunity, Madhu?
Firstly, I would like to, before I answer that, I would like to really compliment Komal, because she's young and she's got a young business, as she says, but her level of understanding and her smile on her face tells me that she will go a long way. She's going to be successful, and my wishes for you, because I really liked the way you spoke and whatever you said. So that was lovely.
Thank you so much.
And secondly, I will go back to Radhika, because who is my friend, a friend whom I don't meet too often, but still know. So yes, I love what she talked about. She gave an example of her husband, Sean, who works and doesn't say that I've got a writer's block or I don't feel creativity, because that's again what I believe. Creativity is a moment of genius, and that is really not in our hands, according to me. I believe the moments of genius and the moment of creative bloom comes as grace comes upon you. But to hone your skills and to be ready with what you are good at and to become better at what you do at, that is always in your hands. So, whether you cry, whether you have a movie or not to do, whether you have a song to sing or not, that I wake up and make sure that I keep my body and my health and my skill, that whatever I'm trying to exhibit, always up to date, educate myself with new methods or whatever it is that we need to keep ourselves up to date with. Our skill is in our hands. So practice, creativity and genius is up to the Lord, but practice and becoming better at what you do is in your hands. And that is the difference between taking charge and getting empowered and surrendering. So the life is paradox when you take charge and when you surrender. And that is what I loved about what Radhika said, because I also truly believe in that. And coming from what adversity, what opportunities came my way through my adversity, I'm going to go back to another lifetime almost. This is before I even became an actor in Kante. I was signed for a project, completed my education, and I was signed up for a lovely Hindi movie. And what very quickly to you, when I was very, very young, I had a dream of becoming an actor. But as I came into my adolescence and I had certain personal situation, I lost my mom very early and adolescence, and I suddenly became this very chubby girl, and I got very scared of the world. So I thought, like, if I become an actor, the whole world will kill me. I didn't have the guts to take their opinion and their criticism. So I very quickly moved out of my dream zone. I said, I don't want to be an actor. I will become a receptionist or a typist somewhere, and I'll get my salary and I'll live a very a small life. I very quickly adjusted to that. And when I was adjusting to that, I got picked up by a director and I was signed up for this movie. So when the opportunity came from the outside and not from me, I very quickly grabbed upon it. I impressed upon my dad to allow me to be a part of this movie, and I went ahead with it. Now, this director took me on to his movies. I shot with him for 4 or 5 days, and then he replaced me. He dropped me. He rejected me by saying that this girl is no good to be an actor. Now, what really happened at that time, in the period that he had selected me, I had told all my friends I'm going to be an actor. So there was a lot of shame now to go back and say that I have been dropped, I'm not good enough. I was shy, I was scared, I was rejected. I was very young, and very young in the 1990s is very different from being young in 2020s. So there was too much happening. What happened is that rejection, that moment made me feel that this is what I want to do. Yes, I felt rejected. Yes, I felt shame. Yes, I cried nights away. All those things happened. But when I came out of that, I said, I don't want to be a typist. I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be just, I don't want to be anything. I want to only be an actor, because that is a dream I have as a 5-year-old girl. I got scared of the world and I said, I don't want to be an actor. But that rejection taught me that I want to be an actor. I will be an actor. Whether now you like me or not, I don't know, but I'm going to be an actor. So it gave me that moment to practice. I learned dancing. I even tried to lose weight. I learned swimming, because I thought all Bollywood girls have to swim. I don't know why I thought swimming and acting should go together, but yes, tried to learn horse riding. Then I joined Roshan Taneja's acting. I tried Hindi diction, because I don't want anyone to say, "Arey, ye to Madrasi hai, diction hai." So I tried to take every aspect of whatever is needed to be an actor. I improved upon that and I landed onto the scene. Of course, the remaining of it, I again surrender. So where I had to take charge, I took charge. And then I said, whatever be, and of course, the results were favorable and movies happened and I was able to come forward. So this is my journey through adversity, which I actually look today as my opportunity. Had that man not chosen me, had I not gone onto the sets, and if I was not rejected, I would have been sitting in some waiting room as a receptionist, because that's what I thought I would be. I would have become smaller of myself, and only that rejection, that pain, that crying led me to my own full or large potential. Like the famous poet Rumi says, through every wound. Wound is the only place where a ray of light enters. So I salute to all those adversities, to all the pain that breaks so light can enter.
Awesome, awesome, awe-inspiring. I must say you have this uncanny ability to transform challenges into opportunities, and I'm sure our viewers are loving this great story of yours. And how true, how true. There was a question, Madhu, that came in from Abhishek Das, and he said that, how can upskilling actually help us greatly in turning adversity into opportunity? And I guess you've given the right example, that how you're honing new skills. Could it be horse riding, learning swimming, or driving, or working on your diction? So this is where you kept looking for it. So, well, listening to her, I must say that yes, when your hardest hit is when you should not quit. And this is where she stands so strong and so tall, and of course now so beautiful and so successful. So wow, thank you, Madhu, thank you so much. And Sahil, coming back to you, well, of course, I'm going to ask you that what is your message to your numerous fans? And I know that you've always entertained us with your comic roles. In the recent stint wherein you played this cancer patient, and which had a message that how it had a great message to never give up, to stay positive. So today, what Madhuji has said, basically in your kind of workplace, which is so competitive, there is a lot of favoritism. How do you kind of overcome all those adversities and turn it all into opportunities? When we actually talk about favoritism and we talk about a lot of competition, which Madhuji did make a mention on.
I agreed with everything what Madhu ma'am just said, and knowing that she actually contemplated becoming a typist or a receptionist was, I mean, I'm a huge Roja fan, and it would have been such a loss for the industry, but I'm glad she kind of fought through, and she kind of achieved what she really wanted to. And you guys were talking about mental toughness, right? I think this film that I did, Dil Bechara, my characters teach me for life. That's how I see it. I don't put a piece of me into the character. There is something that's written on the script, and I read that and I make it a part of my life, because these are amazing things to learn. And like Radhika said, mental toughness. And I believe that adversity can and has the potential to make mental toughness happen, because I've sometimes personally felt that my problems are huge. My problems are humongous. What am I going to do? And then something like Dil Bechara comes along, and then you work with blind people, and then you work with cancer patients, cancer survivors. And then you realize that their problems are so much bigger. How are they coping up? I mean, if I were to go blind today in real life, I don't know what I would do. But I know for a fact that of the training I'm not just talking about the training as an actor, of whatever I've gone through in life, I know for a fact that I'm not going to give up. And that happens when mental toughness reaches a level where you know that you're going to go through, you know that you're going to make it work somehow. And you can't think of it as a compromise. No, there are certain things we can't change about this world. There are certain things we can't change about life. How you deal with it, how you take it, that's the name of the game. That's what I believe, because I kind of went back to my days in Tamil Nadu when Madhu ma'am said the word Madrasi. I'll tell you why, because I was born and brought up in Tamil Nadu. And in the school in Tamil Nadu, they used to call me Vellakaran. Vellakaran means white boy. And I could really not belong in class. And then when I was 11 years old, we shifted to Delhi. And then all my Delhi classmates, they started calling me Madrasi because I had a heavy Tamil accent. So I could really never belong. And lucky for me, because the one place I belonged was down in the basement in the activities room, where they used to have theater workshops. You see how things work out. Things just work out beautifully. If this doesn't work out, that doesn't work out, something is there for you which will work out. And I have to take this opportunity and say I'm a huge fan of Shan's myself. That song that came out, Tanha Dil. Oh yeah, that's my theme song. आंखों में सपने लिए घर से हम चल तो दिए. That's how it is for everyone. That's what I want to tell all the fans that I've developed through this project, is that you just keep walking. ठीक है, take a beat, take a while if you're tired, but get up and start walking again. One failure doesn't mean life is over. Two failures don't mean life is over. Failure does not mean life is over. I mean, it's so amazing that sometimes I've realized that something hasn't worked out for me, and eventually I realized that okay, this was an opportunity. If I ended up doing this of work, it wouldn't have worked. I was not good for this part, or I was not good for this job. And if I do something, so having said that, that does not mean that you stop working on yourself. I see a lot of my colleagues and a lot of my friends who just, you know, go out there and they're like, oh, I'm an actor, you know, I've trained myself, I've gone to acting school, and now I'm done. I have to tell all of those aspiring actors today, right now, right here, seriously, without a smile. I mean, it's difficult for me, but every character, every film, every role, every song, every story, every movie requires training from the beginning, because there is something called basic training. You train to be an actor, and then every creative process requires you to unlearn a lot of what you know and then put in new effort with the same amount of enthusiasm as day one of you being an actor. Because if you don't do that, it's not going to work. I can give you an example of one of my very unfortunate colleagues who got cast in a show about the military, and we were supposed to be training in the military camp. And when we were there outdoors in the middle of the mountains, did the whole shooting crew realize that he didn't know how to ride a bicycle? They had to replace him for that. I mean, it sounds funny, but when you come to think of it, you can't really learn how to ride a bicycle in 2 days. If someone who's grown up without learning something, it takes more time for that person to learn that. And that's where Madhu ma'am is absolutely right. She says swimming, horse riding. I mean, it might sound funny, but you never know what an actor, our profession, you see what we do. We have to go out there and do stuff in front of the camera. And if we don't train ourselves in all these, riding a motorcycle, playing a violin, we've seen actors in our industry hold a guitar without strings so convincingly. And it's funny. So you need to kind of really take your job seriously. And when you start taking your job seriously and still not get an opportunity yet, I would like to say that job wasn't for you. You have something better waiting for you. So that's what I would like to tell all my fans, friends, whoever's listening. Take it easy. Yeah. You have a lot of time. You have a lot of opportunity coming your way. Train yourself for that. And there is a lot of fun in training. You can learn new things every day. I'm learning how to play the piano. I mean, I always thought I would become this master piano player, but it's not easy. It's not easy. You have to spend time. So I'm spending that time. It's so much fun. Grow a plant. Just grow a plant. I have tomatoes coming out. The first time I saw a tomato grow, I was like, I grew this. Small happinesses, is that even a word? Yeah. Small joys would sometimes make your day. Go for them and build on those small joys. And someday you're going to be a happy man. You're going to be a happy woman. You're going to be a happy person, a happy professional. That's more important. People should want to talk to you. People should want to work with you again and again and again and again and again. That's it. That's your job. That's all.
Wow. Sahil, I actually decoded your this your ever smiling, secret, and that is about the simple joys that you look forward in life. And for you,
It's free. It's free of cost for everyone to take. You
absolutely.
just take it from me.
Just take it, keep it, and keep it. Yes, we would say.
Yeah.
So yes, viewers, you've just heard that. I mean, learning is a continuous process. It has to
Yes.
go on. You have to go on with it. Radhika said it's all about consistency. Here you have Sahil talking about continuous process. Keep investing into your own self than anything else. And Velacheer is what you said, right? Velacheer.
Velakaran.
Vellakaran, from being boxed and titled as a Vellakaran right in Tamil Nadu to Madrasi back in Delhi. He says that you should not be concerned. Yes,
No,
do not
shouldn't matter.
about the criticism. People will put you into the box. It is for you to keep getting out of it and concentrate on your own self energies. Amazing. Thank you. And let me bring in Radhika into the conversation. So Radhika, back with you. I think everybody's missing Shan a lot. And since you're home and we could take the liberty, is he around you? It could be just like
Well, I don't have, when Sahil was actually talking about, what we have grown and what we have done, I looked up to this scene. And this is my son. And I said, this guy, and while I'm talking, and I'm like, this guy's grown out of me. I really don't know. Well, I don't have Shan, but I have Shubh, and he can probably sing us a quick song.
Oh yes, of course. So I hope our esteemed guest, you're okay. Do we have like 5 minutes and we can bring him Shubh right here? So,
Yeah, sure.
perfect.
So should I get him on now?
Yeah, please get
Yeah,
it.
sure.
The question.
Sure.
I don't want to put in that little fun before we get into the serious conversation of mind and game and life itself. Hi, handsome. How are you?
I'm here to sing you guys a song. So I do hope you
Lovely.
with my guitar. So it's from the movie. It's a beautiful movie. Jab We Met. And it's always been one of my favorite songs since childhood.
Perfect.
Yeah, so that was Shubh for you.
Thank you, Shubh. Thank you so much. So he just pepped up all this life and mind, environment for all of us. Yeah. So Radhika, back to you. A little more technical question. All of us know that brand happiness is really continuously, making some a great happiness that it has actually been bringing to its client, to all the artists. So for me to understand that, what is your criteria in terms of actually attaining that customer satisfaction in such kind of adversities?
Right. So, I don't know whether you all know about Happydemic. So Happydemic is basically a music solution based company. We have 3,000 artists on board, and we are present in 560 cities across the geography of India. We're again a 4-year-old, young startup, and we've, broken a lot. We've been very ahead of the bell curve and used tech to tech and music. We've married the two. Now, being a platform, I have two sides of it, right? So my customers are not only one side, they're also two. So one is the artist side of the platform that I have, and one is, of course, the customer side of the platform. We're working with more than 150 corporates. I always tell my team one thing, that we have always existed and functioned with the universal belief in an organization that customer is king. And I think, we've read that everywhere in, the Udupi restaurants written, in shops, customers king. But I like to take a little twist on it. And I tell them, I said, a customer is a king with a heart. And I think, we all need to understand that while customers are looking for, great products and they're looking for, a great service, what they're also looking for primary is a great experience, which actually, which defines your entire last mile run, which is extremely important in an organization. The very stem of Happydemic, comes out of this vision, is not only to give artists and, artists and customers a happy, meaningful difference in their lives. Now, where customers are concerned, of course, most of your customers, they rate, success through numbers, because that they have been inherently told that, right, that you have to do it through numbers. Where we actually come here is that, in today's market, we try to explain to them that there is really no brand loyalty that you can create. Very difficult to create brand loyalty, because today, if a particular e-portal is giving me my phone for a cheaper amount than a Smiley one, then I'm going to go for the one that gives me the cheaper price. So brand loyalty cannot be now taken by just giving them numbers, or second external gifts. What it needs is, you have to understand that the economics has changed, has diversified. Earlier it was share, top mind of recall equal to share of market, but now I say the share of heart will actually equal to the share of market. So how do you engage in a meaningful way with your customers to create a business impact? And how we actually go ahead and we monitor, and our metrics to actually see whether we're doing a good job is reference. I think if I'm good, you're going to recommend me to somebody else. So more than numbers, I actually go into the referrals that we have. So I know we have done a good job there. And customer satisfaction, you've hit it bang on when you turn around and tell your customer that, hey, would you refer me to someone else? And they would say, yes, I will. And this is the number. I think that itself shows me my customer satisfaction. We've actually spent zero on, marketing. And we've only got the kind of audience that we have collected over the years is because of that. Now you talk about the artist side of, because it's very important for me, being from having whatever I have to an art, it's all given to us because of an art. We make sure that we hold fabulous learning camps for artists. So from taking care of their guitar class to, Mohammad Ghulam Mustafa coming to teach them, to their wardrobes, to instruments, we all provide this to our artists without a charge. That is my way of giving back to the community that we've actually got so much from. We do regular learning lessons with them. And I think, when I started off 4 years ago, I had 100 artists, and today I have 3,000, because it has been a complete networking effect there. We've not gone and hooked up artists, and I don't keep any artist on any form of contract. I don't believe in contracts. I think you can't tie down an artist, with a contract and say, "Nahi, aap idhar hi kaam karoge, or let me control your artistic capabilities." That's not the way you're going to let an artist or anyone in that form blossom. So we've been a very conscious company where we do not engage artists in contracts. And the other thing that we do, which brings us great satisfaction, where the customer side of our artists are concerned, is that when we do get any form of shows for them, any form of engagements, we've done more than 8,000 now, we do not take it out of the artist. We will charge the company, because I think, it's very unfair for an artist. A, it's difficult to find work, and then B is to part with what rightly belongs to them. Because if they don't exist, my company doesn't. So, although my supply side is very important, my demand side is also, I only create my demand when my supply is there and strong. So, and, taking on to what actually Sahil and both Madhu said about the whole process of learning, I keep, I've always told my children, I said, when your ability to do something is very high, but your passion is very low, it's a job. You get up in the morning and you'll go for your job. I said, when your passion is very high, but your ability to do it is low, then it's a hobby. I'm very passionate about it, but your ability is low, to do it. But when your passion and your ability is the same and it's thriving, it becomes a career. So always find that sweet spot, and that sweet spot can only be found by, things that you do and what you don't do, which is equally important. Yeah.
So true, so true. Find your sweet spot. And
yes,
Radhika, there is a question that I'll take with you before I actually bring in Komal.
Sure.
So, we were talking about, from the artist perspective. So Elisa is here, and Elisa, of course, it is to all the panelists. She needs to understand, how do you overcome this whole fear which is there, and basically in these obstacle times. So do you have artists calling up, and you have all profiles of artists. Somebody could be up there and somebody could be just there. So what do you actually tell them? Do you have people calling you up and saying, times are tough, and of course the entertainment industry to quite an extent has taken a big hit, so how do you deal with these fears, and does it also kind of creep into yourself when you're talking to people around and things like that?
So Sangeeta, what we actually first did was, we always get, artists always call us and say, "Ke kaam nahi mil raha."
Right.
And then I tell them, I said, maybe this is the point where you start honing or owning your skills to make it better. So, work is an outset of your ability. It's not an onset. It's not that I have to first get work and then learn. You have to learn to get work. So we have used a lot of that time in actually, making them understand, because there's a lot of digital presence right now, right? So making them understand the difference, they get cheated literally on views and Facebook, and, all this has just been so much in the air that they kind of take aggressive or passive aggressive paths to attain those kind of likes and those views. So we kind of, we've used these months to use it as a mentoring session for them. So we've had a lot of online classes there where we actually go ahead, whoever's a part of our portal, where we call it Happydemic Pathshala. So we actually go there and we have nuggets there which kind of empowers them in their learning process. The other thing is that, I'm very proud to say that because we're a digital platform, we could pivot extremely easily into work from home. And technology wise, what I was actually planning to do 2 years, this COVID actually pushed my technology knowledge and my technology abilities to actually jump that entire 2 years course and land right there. In COVID times, we have done at least 2,000 gigs.
Wow.
So that has given us an opportunity to make sure that my artists have money. And we have rotated the artist well enough to make sure that their monthly expenses, basic expenses, are spent with. So my artist team has been extremely, very, very cautious of this fact. In fact, we've had multiple documents and channels that we've been actually ticking off artists saying, okay, this one's got work, this one's got work, this one's got work, and we've been doing that.
Effort has been made. Absolutely.
Exactly. So I think Touchwood, we've been extremely fortunate, and we pivoted very well. We're an OPEX platform, we're not an APEX platform. So for us to adjust, going home was way more easier, because everything was not just rooted at one place. So yes, we do that, and of course we have we have a helpline for artists where if they feel certain thoughts, they can reach out to us. We don't counsel them, we show them who to get counseled to, because it's very easy to give unsolicited advice, but if it doesn't work, it can backfire too. So we do a 360 turnkey with them.
Thank you, Radhika. And Elisa, I hope that your question is answered, that make sure that these are the times. It has really given you an opportunity to hone your skills, to upskill yourself, which I think a couple of our other viewers have been asking us. Komal, sorry to keep you, waiting for that long, but yes, my question to you, today everybody is a little more conscious in terms of healthy eating. So for you, of course, there's a big opportunity that kind of, it was right there in front of you. So, what else did you really do in terms of your plans? Like we just heard Radhika making a mention that, they wanted to be this technology driven company, which probably would have taken 2 years, but this has accelerated them. So, coming to you, what plans did you kind of put into to excel a little more faster?
Thank you for your question, Sangeeta, once again. Yeah, definitely healthy food and the business that I am in right now is definitely something that is going to catch on. It's already started picking up. Today, like we know, the consumer is so, their mindset is such that they want to consume only healthy food. They want to have something that will build their immunity, something that will make them feel better. So what we decided to do is focus on letting them know that mindful eating is also very important. Today, you see, due to the anxiety levels going up of people in the lockdown, you're put inside a house, you don't know what to do, you end up eating a lot of unhealthy food, and that could really bring you down. So what we try to communicate through our social media portals, or through some web talks, is that you should focus on these foods, which today have got so much importance when before people never even thought of them. Simple things like turmeric, simple things like having the right amount of nuts and seeds. If you have something that is going to give you the right amount of nutrition, that will also let you have a healthy mind. So nutrition always goes hand in hand with health and wellness. So like you said, this is a big opportunity for us. Secondly, because of the B2C connect, business to consumer has become direct due to the COVID situation and due to this pandemic. The supply chain is such that, we're able to reach to our customer directly. Like we can even give them a faster service. Today, we've learned that, a customer, if they want to place an order today, they want it tomorrow. And we're able to do that. We're able to deliver that. And that customer satisfaction has also made us happy, because we're also catering to their demands. We're catering to them at the fastest speed possible. So incorporating these small things in our business during this pandemic has given a lot of learning to us. Also, like, COVID and this virus is all about survival of the fittest. Like we know, surviving of the fittest is so important today. Everyone is, into wanting to do home workouts. You want to go to you go for a jog. You've seen people getting fitter than ever.
Cycles are out now.
That's right.
A lot of cycling around.
Exactly. That has actually, increased the demand for products like ours. So we've actually ended up curating a lot more products that will help you, have these workouts in place. We have a pre-workout meal. We have a post-workout meal. So we're focusing on vegan, because plant-based nutrition is what it is tomorrow. And we have certainly tried to get on the point where customer, what they really want, we're trying to deliver that. But the most important thing I would bring to this, which I also shared in my last webinar with you, Sangeeta, is that NutriZ is all about making nutrition easy. So nutrition made easy is health for all. So during the pandemic, we have decided, and we've really taken time to develop products for the social strata of the society. Because the urban sector, we are aware about what is good for us, but the social strata, they're still very unaware that, and they are the ones who are deprived of the right nutrition, especially during these hard times. So we've actually created a whole range of products which will support the community at large, not just the urban, but, the rural population as well, because India is such a country that, we have a mix of population, and we need to focus on, bringing everyone together, bringing health and wellness for all.
Right.
So yeah, this is what we've incorporated, and this is what we believe in doing in the future, hoping we are able to achieve all of that.
Oh, I'm sure. Like, the way we say massification of education, and here you're talking about massification of nutrition actually to every possible economic strata, and not just to, to the labeled ones out there. Thank you, Komal. And with that, yes, our last and final, 30 seconds message from all our panelists for all our viewers. So let me start with Madhuji. But Madhuji, before I take your message, one thing, there's a question which of course I'm going to be asking to Sahil as well, to you, that there is Sujata Chaudhary, and Sujata says, in very short, I want you all to answer that 4 to 5 ventures went flop. How do you revive yourself? So yeah, so one after the other, then the other, and then the other, and it's all just not going right. So how do you kind of keep going then? We can't hear you, Madhu. If you could just unmute yourself, please. Just unmute, no?
Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, loud. Yes.
Okay. So if the ventures go flop, there's not too much we can do. So the focus always has to be in your dedication, in your sincerity, and keep doing what you have to do. Because when the ventures go flop, it's really not in our hands. Every product has its own destiny, and we can't predict that. So the focus again comes back to your own mental health and what is your life beyond your work. Are you identifying everything that you do with your work? And if your ventures are failing, are you looking at yourself as a failure and taking actions? Or you have to segregate. That is what job you do, and you're doing to the best of your ability. You're training yourself, you're updating yourself, and you're keeping up to the mark. But if they still don't work, there's not too much you can do. But what are you without your work? Let's focus on that, on relationships, etc., etc. In my case, personally, I have to say, back in the day when I was working fully like a professional, I was very happy. I had equal number of flops and equal number of appreciation and criticism, all of that. And I didn't really pay too much attention. I just kept working. And one fine day, I was very happy to fall in love and get married.
Thank you so much. Okay, so you should really know when to just kind of hang your boots out there. Okay, perfect. So yes,
sometimes to back away, to retreat.
Take
It's
a
not
step back.
you need to sometimes, because I backed away, I see it as my destiny. I met this wonderful man, and then I created a wonderful family with him. I'm so much feeling the blessings of the grace because of that. And now I've come back as a mature person. I'm back in the business. I'm doing what I'm loving to do. I have come as a new person, new artist, new actor. So you go away, there's a whole lot of world besides acting, besides anything that you've chosen in the first place. So you need to not get stuck. You need to explore.
Wow, I just love that. Take a step back, put it into perspective, and probably if things are, and Madhu, could be, there's also a possibility that, if everything is not just going your way, not necessarily you're the person, there could be so many other reasons that are responsible for it all going haywire, for a matter of fact. Perfect. So thank you. And Sahil, very quickly, your take on this and your message. And of course, then I'm going to speak to Radhika and Komal, and then we close the webinar.
Some people might say that filmmaking is like a gamble. It depends on how many people watch your movie, how many people buy your tickets. I say no, it's not really a gamble. It's not really difficult to say if your film's going to work or not. I mean, it's mathematics, how much money you put in and how much money you get. I mean, and two, what you're telling the story about. What's your story? I mean, if you know that you're making this movie to make money, there is a high chance that it's not going to work. Because our audiences are very smart. They're getting there, and they've all gone to school. They're all educated. They want to watch something worth their time, worth their money. So it's not really difficult to kind of know in your heart whether your project's going to work or not. And also, failure, if you keep winning, you're not going to learn. Yeah, I pray that after every 4 successful endeavors, I do have a failure, because I need something to pull me back down. My teacher, Mr. Nasiruddin Shah, he keeps telling me, Sahil, do not listen to people who come backstage and say, oh, you were very good. You were very good. Don't listen to them. Just say thank you and walk away. But the person who comes to you and says, Sahil, there's something very bad about your performance today. Sit with him. Ask him what was bad. Because if you sit with the person who said, wow, what a performance. If you sit with him and you ask him, what did you like about my performance? He wouldn't have an answer.
Totally.
So there's no point.
True.
So yeah, that's how I see it.
Thank you. Thank you, Sahil. Thank you. Well, Radhika, all smiles, and yes, Your 30 seconds message to all the wonderful people.
So I'm going to talk about it from the business perspective. Clearly, I said I feel like the most important thing to realize is that your business has failed. Number one, that realization of it. But that is a business that has failed. You have not failed, right? And the failure, you take that failure as an opportunity to learn and to apply the learnings that you have to the next venture. In fact, actually, if you see data, I think the most successful people have actually had 2 or 3 failures behind them before they actually turn successful. What is very, very important to do, I think, which is very important even generally in life, is not the things that you want to do. Also, it's very important to know the things that you do not want to do. I think that is extremely important to know too. Like, no, I do not want this, because thrown the kind of opportunities we have, you'll be just like, trying to stick your head out of the water and grabbing onto everything and anything. But there are things that you don't want to do, which you have to say. So if your business is not doing well, accept it, learn from it, take those learnings and move on. Cut your losses. Don't cut your life out, is what I say.
Wow. Cut your losses, but not your life. Take your learnings, move out of it, because yes, as very rightly said by Radhika or by Madhuji, that, it's the projects that fail. It's not you who fail. Take your learnings, take a step back, put it into perspective, move ahead, and stop identifying yourself with the work that you do or the career that you have in hand. There is so much more to you as a person, as a personality.
Sorry, Sangeeta, I just want to add there actually a very personal experience.
Sure.
So in the middle, with the whole new singers coming in, there's always a change in the industry. So Shan turned around to me and he told me, I'm not getting enough work, and I'm, in the film industry, and I'm kind of feeling a little dejected. So I told him at that point, I said, you cannot put your self-worth to your last hit. You have to put your self-worth to the body of work that you have contributed in. So I think that is something that everyone should take too.
So true. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, real life experiences right here being shared on Web Talks. What more could we ask from our amazing speakers? Komal, yes, last and final words from you for all our wonderful viewers out there.
Right. So what I can say is, be it business or be it life, there's always going to be uncertainty, but it's how you change it. It's how you, bring it around, and you work on yourself, you work on your career. Rather than sitting and thinking you can't do something, work towards making it happen. And all I can say is, think healthy, eat healthy, be healthy. Coming from a nutrition perspective, that's going to be a way forward with COVID, with this pandemic. So wishing everyone a healthy and happy life ahead.
Wow. Think healthy, eat healthy, and be healthy. That is surely going to get you into that mental ace. So thank you to all our viewers. Thank you to all our panelists. Thank you for enriching Web Talk Series 19. I'm Sangeeta Singh signing off. It was a pleasure to have you all with us. And with that, viewers, I only hope that you've enjoyed. Yes, next week again, we'll be bringing you some amazing speakers with some relevant topics. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for your interaction.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.